What's going on, people? Welcome to Spoiler Alert for Luke Cage. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Sup, people?
And Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, everybody?
All right, people. So we're here to discuss Luke Cage. This is the third show from Netflix, Marvel show. And, man, I'm just going to say it right now. This show is fucking awesome.
I have
right
to
off
say,
the bat.
I have to say I liked it a lot more than I liked Jessica Jones.
Yeah, to be fair, though, that's not saying much. You know, Jessica Jones was a different type of show. It was more of a psychological show. It took a while for it to actually go. And now Luke Cage, man, from the get-go, this thing hit running, you know, and it didn't stop. Very good. I have, like, just two criticisms of it, but overall, I thought it was very, very strong, man. And it did things I wasn't expecting, which I liked a lot, you know. So that's my quick thoughts. You know how we do on Spoiler. We give our quick thoughts and we get into it more in depth. So, Richard, quick thoughts. What do you think of Luke Cage?
Right off the bat, excellent soundtrack for that show. Yeah, I think it's an awesome show. I do have a few criticisms as well, but overall, I thought the show was fantastic. I'm very anxious to see what they do for season 2 and how it impacts the other shows.
Yes, and Manny, quick thoughts.
Yeah, I enjoyed the show. Again, I have a couple little criticisms about certain things in the show, but I feel it was done really well. I like the film. I like the show.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this thing, you know, if you guys remember, Luke Cage actually premiered on Jessica Jones, right? So even from that show, you could tell, okay, it's not going to be the same exact dude from the comics. The guy in the comics, he's very loud, you know, he's always yelling and stuff, you know, he's always in your face, very aggressive and stuff. The guy in this was more subdued, you know, and he kept that same kind of tone within the show. It's not the Luke Cage from the comics, you know, as far as attitude goes, but I still think he was a good representation for the TV version, because I don't think they wanted to have a crazy big loud black guy on TV, you know, because he's, you know, I think in this show they're trying to prop him to be this hero, and I'm talking about Marvel's doing that, and then the show itself is trying to do that. But the thing is, you know, as usual, reluctant superhero. He has these powers, you know, the show gets into how he got them like very early on. And then, you know, but the thing is, he doesn't want to deal with any of that. He just wants to be left alone. But of course, all this shit starts happening in Harlem. By the way, for you guys asking, no, Harlem is not like that. That's how Harlem used to be. You know, because people were asking me, hey, is that what Harlem's like? Like, no. Just like Hell's Kitchen and Daredevil's not like that. Harlem's not like that.
What they're portraying is like Harlem from like the 70s and the 80s, kind of.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't been to Harlem since I was a kid, but unlike, you know, Hell's Kitchen, that's not Hell's Kitchen at all. They didn't film anywhere near Hell's Kitchen. They actually filmed in Harlem, show, you know.
They filmed a lot of it in Harlem, though they're still using parts of Queens as Harlem, too.
Yes, you know how that goes.
Especially, you know, because in Harlem, there aren't really any factories, but, you know, all of a sudden there's factories in Harlem. Same thing, you know.
Yeah, and like warehouses and stuff, you know.
Yeah, like some you know, abandoned warehouses. In general, Harlem is very nice, right? You know, like it's like hot real estate now, you know.
Yeah. Oh, does that mean all the hipsters are going to get rid of like?
Oh yeah,
they're going to get rid of all the black people.
Over there. It's happening over there. I mean, the only area that's not getting, you know, slowly but surely getting gentrified is like Spanish Harlem.
Yeah, no one's going to touch that.
Nobody wants to touch that. Crazy ass Puerto Ricans and Mexicans.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, Harlem is not like this, but they you know, so this is a comic book version of Harlem, you know, so you can't just have it be nice and Luke Cage just, you know,
the way
people up.
I mean, the way they're portraying it is that because of the quote unquote incident that they're talking about, it's because of that quote unquote incident, that is what caused a bunch of crime and all kinds of other stuff to happen throughout the city.
It's kind of stupid they call it the incident, because they say what it is in the show too. Like, oh yeah, when aliens invaded, but they keep calling it the incident.
Yeah, it's like code speak. Yeah, remember when the Avengers fought those alien things?
Yeah, why did they say the invasion? You know,
yeah, they could have said the invasion.
Exactly. It makes me think of Shenmue. Do you remember what happened that night?
I think the thing is that when you start talking about. That's why they're trying to keep all the superhero talk a little bit to a minimum, because it can easily get really silly. You know?
Yeah, oh, totally. But at the same time, I feel this show had more of it than the other two.
Yeah, I
They
mean, even though,
they called
like,
Captain America by name. They didn't say Hulk or Thor though. They kept going, "Oh yeah, the Hammer guy," but they
yeah,
did
the
say
green
Captain
guy,
America by name. Yeah, and they did say Iron Man. So that's pretty interesting. And I like some of the little nods to things like apparently Justin Hammer's still alive. We didn't know what happened to him after Iron Man 2. So he's still out there making crazy shit.
which is weird because he's supposed to be in jail. So how is his company still making weapons?
I guess. But yeah, when the show begins, you have Luke Cage just trying to make ends meet. He has like two jobs. He's working at a club called Harlem's Paradise, and then he's also working at a barbershop for Pop. I want to talk about Pop later on. But you find out, of course, the nightclub is run by this crazy dude called Cottonmouth. Although he doesn't like to be called Cottonmouth.
Don't you call me Cottonmouth.
You better call me Cottonmouth. And there's some shady shit going on there. Obviously, this dude's in league with the Puerto Rican gangs or something, and they got some craziness going on with weapons, but all that goes awry, as it always does, and Luke Cage gets thrown into the middle of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, you have him working at the barbershop with Pop, and Pop, he's the guy, he's like, hey, man, you got powers. You got to use them. You power man.
Yeah.
Pop was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like with Pop, it was one of those things. Like the instant I saw him, I liked him, but it's like, man, they're gonna kill this motherfucker quick, aren't they? And of course, he gets killed in like the second episode. But because you know how it is in comic books, right? The older mentor guy who has like wise words of wisdom, those guys never live. He's like a black Uncle Ben. He got killed, But yeah, what you guys think of the way the show initially portrayed Luke Cage as this like reluctant, quote unquote hero?
They were kind of already playing with that in Jessica Jones too. He was very reluctant in that show. I mean, he didn't want to be, bugged by too many things and stuff like that. I got that. I mean, it didn't seem that far from what they set up in Jessica Jones, which I consider him the highlight of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, that goes without saying. Rich, what about you? What do you think of the way Luke Cage was, intentionally portrayed initially?
Yeah, I think their intent was to show him at his lowest point. I mean, in Jessica Jones, I mean, I guess you could say he was at a low point, but I mean, he had the bar. He was like he was in control of that situation until, of course, that bar got destroyed.
Yes.
So they just wanted to show him at his lowest points, and of course they had the episode where they showed him in jail, how his whole origin story.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they wanted to show you that to give you more context as to his background and make you feel a little bit of sympathy for the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good jumping on point to the origin, because this is Marvel seems to do this with their shows now. Like they show you a couple of normal episodes and then they jump into the origin episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing here, and this is where you find out Luke Cage, that's not my man's real name. Carl Lucas, my man came in. Hey, I want to see if I'm the only one who thought this. This dude looked like Michael J. White, like a big version of Michael J. White. Michael J. White,
when he was in jail, he did.
Manny and I met. Here's the funny thing: Manny and I met Michael J. White years ago when Spawn came out. Right? We were both surprised how short my man was.
Is short. My man, I towered over that fool. He in the movies, he looks like he's Diesel. No, man, that dude is small.
Yeah. Oh no, he's Diesel. He's just small. He's very muscular. He's just a small dude. This guy, Michael, what's his name? Mike Coulter. That's a big dude. But when he came in, the first thing I was like, hey, he looks like fucking Michael J. White or like Shaft or something. He had a little fro and stuff.
When he had the mini fro on there. But man, they had some badass and stupid makeup later on when he was getting crazy. He was getting crazier.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, that beard just looks fake.
Yeah, like the first beard he had, I thought it was his beard.
It was a good beard. He had a good beard and he had good hair. And then all of a sudden, man, he looked horrible. I was like, oh man, come on, get this boy a better beard.
Yeah, but that whole origin was pretty cool because he started getting attached to the same girl that died in Jessica Jones, right? His girlfriend. And then you find out what the hard drive was, because I don't think in Jessica Jones they ever explained what the hard drive was about, right?
No, they didn't. They just set up that he got killed, and that's it.
Yeah, no, remember, like, they were in the subway and they found that hard drive under one of the abandoned train tracks or whatever. Mm-hmm. I remember that, but then they never went anywhere. Now in this one, you find out that had all the information on the secret program they were running, under the prison, because of course a prison has to be doing that kind of shit,
Well, they set up that it was a private prison. Like, there are privatized prisons in the United States nowadays, and
which is insane.
They literally, hire out the prisoners as like cheap labor.
Yeah. But yeah, and then of course, Carl Lucas, he maintained his innocence just like everybody else in jail does. But he also seemed like he wasn't lying. Like, he actually was framed and stuff. And I did kind of think it was cool how he always carried himself with kind of pride. I don't know if it was pride or arrogance at one point, but I was kind of good. And then, one of the guys, his friend, I forgot his name, his friend in prison, but he was like, yo, you got to make friends here. Otherwise you're going to just die alone. And Luke was like, I don't know about that, man. Like, y'all criminal, because he used to be a cop apparently. So he knew how bad some of these guys were, but apparently he figured out you got to befriend these guys. But that got him in trouble, because the warden, they wanted Luke to fight, but he was reluctant to it. But then when they started threatening his friend, he started fighting in like an underground fighting ring, and he was beating the shit out of everybody, which, and I guess all that was just a setup for the test that they were going to do. But the test, let's get into the test, because the test was just this, like, test out like regenerative like powers or something on people, but with him, it went a little too crazy. Like, he wasn't supposed to be invulnerable like that, Yeah. But what happened is the warden wanted to kill him or something like that. He's like,
he's like, that shit's not gonna work. I don't, I want to kill this dude, and he turned up the thing, like, all the way to try to kill him.
Yeah, but of course they gave him powers.
Of course he gave him powers, because that's how it works. It's the Marvel Universe. See.
Yeah, and then of course, he I guess fell in love with that chick who ended up betraying him or something, which is kind of fucked up. Yeah, I know. Rich is like, damn, man, really?
Yeah, these hoes ain't loyal.
That's some true shit.
She was keeping a bunch back from him. Mm-hmm. She was trying to manipulate him into a position.
Yeah,
which sucks for Luke. Because, I mean, obviously she got right in there,
Yeah, exactly. Like, remember, he was like, oh, you're my last bit of hope. And it's like, well, this bitch was playing you the whole time, man. But what I did enjoy from that whole scene was, like, the getup they put him in, for the Wolverine chamber, as I call it. They put the Power Man, like, tiara on him and the wristbands and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then when he broke,
but then he broke out. But then there's the part later where he completes the outfit inadvertently. Yes. He literally grabs a yellow, like a yellow open chest shirt and some blue jeans, and gets a friggin' chain to keep the belt up.
Yeah, and he was like, and then he looks at himself in like a car like window, and he's like, boy, you look like a damn fool. Yeah. Before that, because I was wondering the whole time, I'm like, is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say the line? And then when he punches that wall for the first time and he dents it, he's like, sweet Christmas. I'm like, yes, man, you fucking did it. And then after that, he would say it, or at least like once every other episode, and the way he delivered it was always really good. It never felt corny, Mm-hmm. Like, even during that scene, it was like, oh yeah, that feels right,
Sweet Christmas.
Sweet Christmas.
Well, they also set up the fact that he doesn't curse.
Yeah.
So he just says his fake curse there.
Yeah, he doesn't curse, He also doesn't like being called a nigga. I actually like that a lot, because like every time somebody would say this, like, what was it, like in jail, he's like, what kind of nigga are you? He's like the type that doesn't want to be called that. Like, I'm like, okay, that's cool. He like has like respect for himself, not to allow anybody to call him that, even in like an endearing kind of way. You know what I mean? Because I was reading one editorial about that. It's like actually, no, it was the actor who played Cottonmouth. We're gonna talk about him. He says like, yeah, for us, for the black community, that word's interchangeable. It could be good, it could be bad, whatever. But Luke Cage is one of those guys like, nope, don't say that shit around me, And since we're talking about that, because people were talked about it, this was the first Marvel related anything that had that word in there, But yes. It makes sense. Like, you can't just have these guys calling each other turkey the whole time,
Yeah. I mean, it would already like friggin' date the whole show. Man, you crazy turkey?
Yeah, like turkey.
You
What?
you job talking turkey? What are we in the 70s?
But yeah, but again, that's how people talk. But at the same time, the show didn't over abuse it like they could have. Like every time the word got brought up, it always kind of meant something. Especially the first time I used it, like was it like Cottonmouth says something? He says the word, and his cousin, who we're gonna talk about later on, she's like, "I hate that word." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna use it because people always underestimate a nigga." I'm like, okay, that's his mentality right there. Like he feels that people are always going to look down on black people, so he's going to do everything he can to get above them. So I thought that was quite interesting, and I also liked the whole like it could have been forced, but it felt natural to me the way they kind of worked in some Black history stuff in there. Like remember the part outside the church where Luke Cage tells that idiot off about like I forgot the name of the name of the church, right? But it was named after like a prominent Black person
Addicts.
Who was Crispin Addicts, right?
Yeah, Crispus Addicts.
Crispus Addicts, yeah. So he was because I didn't even know about this guy. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'm learning about stuff. Like he stood up against the British and stuff during the Revolution. I'm like, that's cool. I like little things like that. And the show, again, they didn't do it very like ham-fisty like they could have. They did it in a very natural way. Little things in there, teaching you the history not only of Black people but of Harlem itself, which is like a beacon of hope for African Americans. So I enjoyed that very much. I again, they could have done it in such a ham-fisted way, but it was really nice and natural. I know some people complain about that, but it's like, come on, guys, get over that shit.
And number one is like, the thing is that most people are not exposed to this sort of stuff in their own worlds. It's mostly about it's mostly as I had to say it, it's mostly about white history, but they're Black folks, all kinds of people of all colors who've done amazing things for this country and for the people, the people within it.
Yeah, here, obviously the cynical side of me says, okay, they did this because it's a mainstream superhero show that features a Black person, so they need to get that in there just to give people history. And if they did that deliberately, I don't have a problem with that because, again, everyone's watching this show now, right? Why not work that in there a little bit and in a natural way? Because think about it, if this show took place in Arkansas, they started talking about that stuff, it wouldn't make any sense, Harlem, it makes sense, and I did like the fact that even though, like I said, again, Luke Cage isn't like that so much in the comics. I did like how they kind of made him like he's very knowledgeable about Black history and stuff, and he would always tell people things, So I enjoy that. It also made him more of like a public speaker and stuff. I remember in church and stuff after Pop died, he gave this really rousing speech and stuff. It was I enjoyed that very much. He did that a lot. There was one part in the not the prison, the police precinct where he gives he's talking to night nurse, right? And he gives her this speech and then everybody else is listening in. It just seemed that part seemed a little off. Like, okay, you're just giving this perfectly talked out speech while it's supposed to be just off the cuff. That was a little weird, but other than that, I think he did a good job delivering those type of speeches.
I think he was good at doing, they were speeches, but they were not like they felt natural. They didn't feel like he was just like, you've already established that he is a smart person, that he knows things, he can do these sorts of things. So I didn't mind if he got a little bit speechy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just nice to have your heroes talk that much. A lot of times these heroes don't talk that much, at least say anything significant.
In general, in the comics, Luke always talked.
Well, he always talked, but it was just kind of yelling at people, really, But yeah, that was good.
The one difference is that he's kind of the original Luke Cage is kind of a product of the times that he was created.
Dude, let's just be honest. The original Luke Cage is basically Shaft with superpowers.
That's exactly what he is. I mean, at the 70s, at that point in time, blaxploitation movies were the thing. That's everybody had a blaxploitation movie. The sad thing about blaxploitation films is that none of them were really directed or written by Black folks. They were literally crazy. They were literally written by a bunch of Jews and all kinds of other people that didn't matter. That were writing these films because they knew these films were popular.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that I'll talk about that later towards the end of the show because Iron Fist has a similar history. Because remember, the reason Iron Fist was created is because kung fu movies are really big in those times.
Him and Shang-Chi are again the 70s. They're products of the 70s. Kung fu is a big thing, having and having a character that reflected all of that was part of it. I mean, friggin' Shang-Chi is Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Iron Fist is kind of like David Carradine from Kung Fu.
Yeah,
he's a white guy to learn Kung Fu.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, when the trend died, blaxploitation and thing died, and Kung Fu died. What do? They mix those two guys in the same book. They
put them in the same book.
It's hilarious. But yeah, let's talk about some of the side characters because, okay, Netflix once again delivers some really great villains, right? The first guy, there's a couple in this one, actually. It's not just one villain here. There's a couple. The first one was Cottonmouth or Cornell Stokes. He doesn't want to be called Cottonmouth.
I liked him. I liked him a lot.
This dude was fucking crazy.
I felt he felt seriously dangerous.
Yeah, he really did, man. I liked his intro speech where he talked about why he had the Biggie poster and stuff. And then there's that one part where he aligns perfectly with the crown right behind him. Like, okay, that's fucking brilliant, man. That is so good. I like that. And again, he was just really dangerous because you didn't know what to expect from this guy. Like one guy, he told him something he didn't like. He just pulls out a gun and kills him right there. Just because he didn't like what he had to say. I'm like, whoa, this dude is like crazy, like Wilson Fisk, but maybe crazier. And then you found out the guy he's working for is even crazier than him. Fucking Diamondback or whatever. We'll talk about Diamondback. I got some shit to say about him, So yeah, Stokes was working with his was it what the hell was she to him again? They weren't sister and brother, they were
cousin.
Yeah, cousin.
She was a cousin.
Yeah, okay, because to me, I got the feeling that she was just along for the ride or whatever. But then you find out this bitch is like the real power player.
Oh yeah,
which is crazy. So yeah, let's talk about both of those two.
And they have a
origin story. Yeah, Mama Mabel, man, that story was fucked up. So Rich, man, why don't you get in here? Tell us about the what you thought about the origin story of the Stokes and Mama Mabel and all that.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree that story was fucked up, but I really like the way they handled the Cottonmouth character because just like in Civil War, where they tried to make the villain three-dimensional by showing you things that made you feel sorry for the villain. I mean, Cottonmouth had his moment where you also felt sorry for him. You felt like he was forced into basically doing all the illegal and bad stuff when he actually had talent where he know how to play the piano, but he never had a chance to really take that anywhere because he was so involved with the corrupt business. So I like how they showed that. I also like how they showed that his cousin, this was a character that transformed throughout the season. Yeah, it wasn't really didn't really have a prominent role, but then when they made that decision, and of course we'll get into that stuff later about the stuff that we had a few issues with, they made that decision to kill him off and have her take over. That you got to see that character come full circle and transform into like a dangerous person altogether.
Yeah, man, she became like the new Mama Mabel, essentially. It's just interesting because she was all like, "Oh, I'm not nothing like you," But then, yeah, she turned out to be exactly like
I knew that was going to kind of happen with her. That something like not the whole killing thing was going to happen, but I felt like she was already kind of becoming like that already.
Yeah,
like trying to control people, trying to control the message, stuff like that. Which I was going to say. I said this a lot earlier. Is that a lot of I think we said this all that we were off the air. A lot of people felt that the show was somehow too black or something like that.
Yeah.
And then one thing I have to say about it, I don't mind that. And the other thing is, I do feel like the show in a lot of ways is a bit of a throwback to the blaxploitation films. Like a lot of very similar things happen. They always have that sort of story where it's like somebody comes back to the neighborhood, something either a friend or a family dies, and then that means that the character has to go fight and bring justice to their family or whatever. A lot of them are all like that.
Yeah, and in this case, it was Pop dying that set Luke Cage off. But it was interesting because because you see Pop, you're like, okay, this is kindly old man. You got to find out this dude was a gangster back in the day. Like the reason he got his name wasn't because he's old, it's because like Pop is the sound his like fist made when he punched somebody in the face. I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. So that again, all these characters were very they had layers and stuff. But going back to Cottonmouth, what was cool about him was obviously Cottonmouth's just a regular dude, but this guy was standing up to Luke Cage like nothing. Like he faced him down and stuff. Threatened him. I'm like, he could punch your head off, but he knew Luke Cage wasn't going to do any shit like that. So he manipulated him. And he's like, you work for me now. Like, wow, this dude is crazy. I really enjoyed him. But then, of course, I was very surprised when they killed him off like halfway through the show. His cousin pushed him out, of the window and stuff of his balcony after he said that, because apparently like his father or her father or whatever was having sex with her when they were kids. He was like, you like that? It's like, I didn't like it. She killed him. Like, oh shit. Yeah. I was not seeing that coming at all, And then, obviously the guy who helped her deal with with getting rid of the body and stuff was this other guy, Shades. A guy who beaten the shit out of Luke Cage when he was in jail, or Carl Lucas. He was a pretty interesting character himself.
In the comics, Shades actually has powers.
Yeah, he does. which is funny, So, but the thing is, Shades, he was working for Diamondback. When I heard him, like, Diamondback, hold on a second. Like, I know that name. Diamondback is the name of a villain from the Serpent Society, right? But it's a woman, right? But because but it is though. Diamondback is the name of 3 villainesses from the Serpent Society. But the very first Diamondback was a guy.
Yep, the guy in a leather jacket.
Yes, Willis Stryker, who was very good with knives, and he was a Luke Cage villain, But see, I didn't know about it because I'm not too well versed with Luke Cage. Usually, when I read him, he's in other people's books like Avengers and stuff, But yeah, so when I heard Diamondback, I'm like, they introduced a Serpent Society? What the fuck? No. But yeah, and then you get to meet Diamondback. He is fucking crazy. He's crazier than Cornell, man. Because he's always quoting Bible verses and stuff. Anytime you have anybody quoting Bible verses to you, you need to watch out. That person's already insane, So that is that giveaway. And he's just killing dudes left and right. His own men left and right just because,
He was the one
for the wicked.
He was the one that was providing the weapons to Cottonmouth for to give to the Puerto Rican gang.
Yeah. But yeah, he was good, and then apparently you find out that he had a relationship with Luke Cage, and that relationship was like they're actually brothers, half brothers.
Yep.
And that whole background, I kind of wish they showed a little bit more of that. Because it seemed like they were okay with each other, but then not okay. I don't know. It was weird. I wish they would have expanded on that, but I did enjoy that they were together. And then of course, I think at least I saw this coming. I'm like, okay, Luke Cage is pretty much unstoppable, right? Like no one can tell. Okay, what are they going to do to actually stop this man? Like, what can they actually do? And then they, came up with this like a bullet that like uses Chitauri like technology and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's how they call it. Yeah, the Judas bullet. That's how they were able to actually stop him for a couple of episodes. And then during all that, that's when you meet the doctor who performed the operation on him and stuff, So that was pretty interesting. But because it was like, yo, how I was sitting going, Luke, no one can stop you, man. Just stop with the bullshit and just end these guys, But that was pretty good. And then of course, at the end, he put on this suit and stuff. Diamondback did, and they were able to fight one-on-one.
Which is kind of funny. The suit actually looks very similar to his suit, with the exception of the stupid helmet that he had.
Yeah. Well, he needed to have a helmet because if Luke
needed a helmet, but the original Diamondback costume was just like it was like a leather like a snakeskin jacket, and then it had like this turtleneck that had the little lines on it. So it literally was the air of that silly outfit that he used to wear.
Yeah, we'll talk about that fight in a little bit because I enjoyed that very much. But I want to talk about some of the other characters. Misty Knight, man. I want to say thank you for having her and Luke Cage have sex in the first episode.
Yes, I agree. that actress is hot.
Oh my, yeah, that's ridiculous. You know, like damn, like especially like she was already fine just to begin with. Then Luke Cage was taking her clothes. I'm like, God damn, you know. But of course, you know what I was wondering, right? Because remember in Jessica Jones, they were having sex and stuff, but they could each take each other. You know what I mean? Because they're super strong. But it's like, Luke Cage, you got to be very careful with this woman. That's a regular chick, man. You gonna break her in half. But yeah, I liked her. She was cool. You get to find out like she was a basketball player and all of that, you know. But I want to know what you guys thought about, like, because the whole time I was thinking like, yo, is she gonna lose that arm? What's gonna happen? And then she gets shot in the arm. Like, that's it. But then they like killed her arm, not properly because she's supposed to have a metal arm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't think we're gonna ever see that metal arm. By the way,
ever. I think it'll happen eventually. You know.
I think if she does get it, it'll be some sort of like thing she wears over her arm. I don't think they're gonna go that silly with it.
This is what I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna give her the metal arm, but she's gonna be wearing long sleeves the whole time. And a glove, you know, because it's a low budget show. They can't be doing crazy shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked her a lot. You know, I don't have too much knowledge about Misty Knight, but I like the way she was at least portrayed in the show. The only thing is like she doesn't seem as standoffish as she does in the comics. Every time I read her, she's always just like really like blunt and in your face. You know, This one was a little bit more subtle in her approach. You know. But they kind
of alluded to her having some sort of power.
Yeah, and then did they? What did they say exactly?
Well, she just has like good perception.
Yeah,
and she can kind of see when she sees things in photos. She can almost experience them.
Yeah, which is interesting. And then they also gave a little hint of, because remember in the comics she's like a freelance private eye because she felt that just the way the police does things isn't very effective, and she didn't want to deal with that. You got to see some of that at the end where she was like, I tried to use the system and it didn't work, so maybe I should leave. But at the same time, you do find out if she actually would have used the system, everything would have been fine for that girl,
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucked up.
If she didn't go off on her own and try to keep things secret, But the thing is that a lot of the people there didn't give her very much choice. That one lady is kind of out for her already,
Yeah, that's true. She eventually came around, but yeah, she was out for her. Oh, speaking about that, let's talk about quickly about Misty Knight's partner who was corrupt.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Saw that shit coming.
Yeah, that guy, that guy was funny, but terrible.
There was that one part where he's talking to the Hispanic kid. He's taking off his tie. I'm like, oh fuck, I know what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, why would you just take your tie off like that? I'm like, I know what's coming. Mm-hmm. And you find out he was working for Cottonmouth and stuff. He was on the pay and stuff. But and then when he died, I did enjoy that. Misty Knight didn't suddenly hate him, because they had history, So even though she found he was this fucked up dude, did all this crazy shit, she was still upset when he died, So that's believable. It was like, no, you're evil now, so I hate you. It wasn't like that.
The thing is, obviously she was very conflicted about the whole situation because it's like she was right next to him. She never saw a damn thing.
Yeah, even though she's good at seeing things, she didn't see that, which is interesting. And then the other person I want to talk about is, and she got a lot of screen time, which I'm happy about because in the other shows she got barely any screen time. Night Nurse,
Oh yes,
Claire. She was a member of the show.
That was her show.
Cast, so that was good to see her back. And I find it funny how one of the Cottonmouths he became Diamondback's guy, but he was one of Cottonmouth's guy. He's the one that called her, yeah, get over there, Night Nurse. So I thought that was cool. So yeah, and again, she keeps getting mixed up with these superheroes. Like she's kind of thing for Daredevil and now Luke Cage, but it seems her and Luke Cage actually stayed together or something by the end of it until he got sent to jail.
Well, wait a second. I have to ask a question now. So is she going to stay with him? That is the question. Or is she going to get romanced by Iron Fist or any other character that they will introduce later?
I like this question. Yeah, because right, are they going to make her that chick? She's just bouncing around.
No, I think they're going to keep her with Cage, but that doesn't mean that she's not going to show up in Iron Fist.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to offer Iron Fist any coffee, right?
Iron Fist will be like, "What's coffee?"
Which is interesting. But yeah, I want to talk about that fight at the end, because this show, every episode had action in it, unlike Jessica Jones, which had like no action at all. Every episode had action in it, and this one, because again, I was like, yo, how are they gonna fight this dude, Luke Cage, man? So it was nice to get like a beatdown kind of episode, which is really cool. They were destroying shit everywhere, people were cheering. So what do you guys think of that fight? Even though it was for TV, I thought it was pretty good,
It was a little, I feel like it was a little bit weak. It didn't like a lot of the stuff didn't lack a little bit of the impact that it should have had.
Oh, really? I thought it was okay because again, I was not expecting it to be that much.
I mean, when you come after Daredevil, you got to be on your game.
Yeah, you know what the problem is though, because I did feel Luke Cage was holding back too much. Like he wasn't going in. Like Matt Murdock, he goes in.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoyed it for what it was. And
it was nice to see a superhero fight, I guess.
Yes, Rich, what do you think of the fight, man?
Yeah, I mean, well, that fight probably was a little bit weak at the end, but all the other fights, I think their intentions of playing hip hop or any type of music next to the fight, that made it very entertaining for me to watch.
Yes.
So it was just can't help but laugh when I see people getting their ass whooped and I hear hip hop in the background.
Yeah,
they make sure they put that shit inside of a club so that every single second you go to that club, you got some new band or some new group on the stage.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna go to something else, but let's do that because the music in the show was very important. I felt, like it was very prominent. I liked, again, it was one of those things. It's like they're showing you some of the like different aspects of Black culture. It's not just fucking hip hop. They had a bunch of R&B and other stuff.
Music,
old school guys. Which I enjoyed.
The main music of the show though was very 70s.
Yes,
it's very wow. Yeah, like even the main song, it's like that's his Shaft song right there.
Yeah, man.
And especially when he had the suit on, that's when they turned it up. They're like, wow, and he's walking down the street with the suit, like the way that he looks now in the books.
Yes. Man, you guys are giving me some good segues right now because that's what I want to talk about before. One of the things I really enjoyed about the show was like it wasn't like Daredevil or Jessica Jones or any of the bigger superheroes where they're kind of they're not with the people, right? They're either hidden or they're somewhere else, right? He was right there in the middle. People knew him by his name. They would talk to him, and I like how he was like a local hero in that sense,
They turned him into more of a folk hero, like
yes.
He's like Mark Henry, not Mark Henry. What was it? Mark Henry, yeah.
No, not Mark Henry. Henry Irons, or wasn't it?
Yeah, something like
his
that.
His Steel. That's his name. I'll look it up. John Henry Irons. John Henry Irons.
Yeah, John Henry, the steel driving man. He became kind of a bit of a folk hero or town local hero. People go to him like, yo, get this back for me, and he's like, I'll see what I can do.
Because I know some people did, say like you said, it felt a little blaxploitation-y. That's when it kind of got blaxploitation-y in a good way to me. It's like, when Shaft would walk around, people go, "Yo, Shaft, man, can you do this?" Like, yeah, I got you. Like everybody just knew him. So Blue Cage, like everybody knew him and stuff. I was pretty cool because remember that one part where they sent all those guys to fuck up those businesses. Like, hey, you got a problem? Take it up with Luke Cage. And people did, but I thought they were going to go one way and they went another. It's like, Luke Cage, man, can you help me out?
Yeah, because they know he's not like a thug or anything, and for the most part, he's helping people out.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that a lot, and then they were very proud of the fact that it was a black superhero that's not wearing a mask or anything. Even though Stokes did make fun of him. He's like, man, what are you, Captain America? Nigga, please. I thought that was pretty fun, But again, like you said, he's like a folk hero, and I enjoyed that a lot because you don't really see that with many like superhero shows or movies,
Yeah, where he becomes like known and the community goes toward him. But then he's so the character is so connected to the neighborhood that he's in. How could they not know it's him? How could they not go to him if they're in trouble?
Yeah, I enjoy that a lot. And then
if you knew there was a superhero guy that lived in your town and you knew it was something that something went wrong, you'd totally call that dude up.
Yeah, but at the same time, he was approachable enough to do that with,
Mhm.
like you
Yeah.
didn't feel like, oh, he doesn't care about me. You like, oh, he's one of us, man. He's trying to make ends meet too, you know.
Hmm.
So I enjoyed that a lot, and then you get to see that payoff at the end where he's having this fight with Diamondback, and the whole neighborhood's out there just cheering him on.
Hmm. Yeah, because Diamondback was the one who was messing with everybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
You know?
I did enjoy this one part where Diamondback is talking about their families, and one guy's like, "Yo, Cage, man, you gonna let him talk shit about your mama like that?"
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a lot of fun. Oh, what part I really liked? The whole standoff at the club. Because again, Luke Cage is this big, powerful dude, but he had to handle things a certain way. He couldn't just go crazy, otherwise the hostages would get all killed and stuff. You
Hmm.
know, so that was really good. And then there was the whole thing where like the cops, they didn't know what to do with this guy. Like at first they left him alone, they started going after him. And then by the end, of course, they arrest him, which it's always fun to me. It's like he could escape, right? Like he's only doing this voluntarily. It's
Yeah.
like with Man of Steel, it's like those cuffs aren't going to do anything, right? This dude can just fly out there if he wants.
Mhm.
I mean, but Luke Cage did escape the first time. He's like, man, fuck this shit, get out
Yeah.
of here, But that again. I like you said, Manny. I think you might have a point there about it is like a modern day blaxploitation film in that way too, because the cops are after the main dude and stuff.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
and a lot of times what happens in some of the black exploitation movies, they don't end good. Sometimes
yeah,
the guy goes to jail, but he's still triumphant. You know.
yeah, exactly. Yo, man, you giving me that good segue again, because that was probably my biggest. It's not a criticism, but one of my problems with the show. Because again, I had very few problems with the show. I don't think I liked the way that it ended very much. It just felt kind of slightly anticlimactic to me. Like
Oh.
the villain kind of wins. Luke Cage gets thrown in jail, and it's like I kind of wanted a little more. But at the same time, I think it sets up a hell of a good season 2 or Defenders, one of them. But yeah, what would you guys think of the way like the show ended?
Well, I'll say this. I think a lot of the things that they teased at the end, how the guy at the barbershop found the folder with all the
Yes.
evidence, that lets you know that he will get out. We know that a lawyer will be introduced into the equation. A very famous lawyer that we know will probably be introduced, and that
Hopefully that fool will have a time to actually defend somebody. Jesus Christ! Every single time he's always like beat up, or he's always has Foggy going in for him.
Well, hey, Claire will tell her, I need you to do me a favor for a friend, and then that's probably what's going to happen. But I mean, I thought that the ending, yeah, I wasn't expecting him to get arrested, either. But I have a couple other criticisms that probably a little bit more severe than that one. That one I could understand. Okay, he'll get out again. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Hold on to that criticism because we're going to come back to that. Manny, what do you think of the ending?
I felt like I enjoyed a lot of the Cottonmouth section of stuff of the show better than the stuff with Diamondback, because I felt like Diamondback was too cackly. Like I felt like he was too crazy and too villainy. Because his main motivation is because he's the second child. He was the first child, and
Yeah.
and Cage was the full son. And it was a little silly. I felt like there needed to be a little bit more. It's like you framed him for that just because he's that. Come on, man.
Yo, man, I hate him.
Yeah.
But anyway, swinging back. So, what are some of the other criticism? Richard, you had a bigger one than the ending. So, what was like your biggest criticism of the show?
Well, I believe that Manny took it right, the words right out of my mouth. That
Uh-oh.
that that essentially was the criticism. I know, full disclosure, I know, a few of us saw the show early. We saw the first 7 episodes.
Those were amazing.
Yeah, yeah, from Netflix. But now I know why they only sent us the 7 episodes,
Oh
because
shit.
the second half, yeah, they had that whole issue. I thought that Cottonmouth was they were building something great for the character. That's why when he died, it's like, oh man, you know. And so it's halfway into the season. I felt like they could have had that go. That could have happened towards the end. That could have been pretty much the end of the season, and then you introduce these other characters to set up the second season. But they just said, no, we're going to go ahead and do this now. So that was one of the major criticisms, because I thought the second half was a little bit weaker than the first half.
Yeah, I agree.
And I also think that, as we already alluded to earlier, that, you know, Cottonmouth's cousin, Mariah, we did eventually learn that that character, you know, was pulling a lot of strings. But even still, they had a lot of instances where she was getting assistance from the people that she works with, telling her, oh, yeah, you should do this. You should consider this idea. So I kind of felt like, again, she wasn't really reach her full potential as a villain until the very end, when she felt confident, you know, when she had the questioning. She figured that she was weak, but then when she knew that they already took care of the other character, took care of that girl, that she wasn't worried about nothing. So I'll be interested to see how they evolve that character afterwards. But the biggest criticism is, I think the second half a little bit weaker than the first half, but the show is still solid.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. It's like, it's just, I don't know. I felt like, you know, again, I felt like that Diamondback felt more like a thug, like more. It didn't feel like he felt like a henchman. You know, like an assassin or henchman that somebody sent after him. But it's like, oh, come to find out, he is kind of the main guy who caused all of what's wrong in Cage's life.
I hate you, Cage.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like that point where he gets shot by that bullet, though. I mean, and it ends at 7. Was it episode 7? And you're like, holy shit! You know.
Yeah. No, but you're right. That character was comical. I remember the scene where, you know, where it ends with Luke Cage getting shot, and he's asking him, "Why are you doing this?" You know, and he says, "Nigga, I am your brother." Bam. Yeah. So I thought that was like, yeah, you know, it's, you know, a lot of the stuff he did was a little comical when they had their little dialogue back and forth. That's a character that I would say they probably rushed that character, because I know we didn't really see the origin of when they were kids until the episode they actually had the fight.
Yeah.
I think that they should have took more time, like you guys already said, took more time to develop that character, because yeah, I mean that's but obviously we know that's going to be a big focal point next season, because you saw at the end he got with the same scientist that was experimenting on
That's right.
Cage.
So, you know, so he may be as powerful as Cage without all the fancy equipment, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'll be interested. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with Diamondback, because I like the fact that he was just so crazy, like, and villainous like that. You know, like a comic book villain. I actually appreciated that. But at the same time, I wish Cottonmouth would have at least lived till the end of the season. You know, like, if you want to kill him off at the end, that's fine. But he was really good, because he was a different type of villain. Like, you don't normally, like, Diamondback is a normal kind of villain you would see in these type of shows, you know. Even though he's a little bit more manipulative, but he was this typical type of villain. Cottonmouth, not so much. Actually, you know what would have been interesting? I'm thinking about it. Imagine if, like, you have more tension between these two, and then Cottonmouth ends up killing Diamondback. That would have been very interesting, you know.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I did you a favor, Cage. I killed your brother. But you're right about that. Going back to what you guys were saying, because I was thinking about this today when I finished watching it today. Right, the first half of this show is very different than the last half. You know, like, the last half is a little bit more, I guess, traditional superhero, where, like, you know, the main dude is on the run from the cops. You know, he's fighting like a cackly villain. And then the first half was cool because, you know, Luke Cage is just out on the open. Remember that one scene? These dudes are doing their drug deal in the open. He just shows up and they're all like, "Oh fuck!" And Luke Cage is like, "Come on, guys, you know what's up?" And they just run.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a little Easter egg in that. I had to rewind it 5 times. I'm like, did I hear that right? Did my man just say this? Rewound it. And then somebody actually sent me a screen cap with a closed captioning. And yes, this guy he picks up and he's like, "Yo, man, this is on some John Blaze shit." I'm like, wait, That's a kind of big Easter egg right there, just to be thrown off the cuff like that. John Blaze, obviously Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider. What are they trying to tell us here? You know, very interesting. Like, and then somebody said, like, "Oh yeah, you know, that's we're gonna get to him, man. That's Method Man's other name." I'm like, "Yeah, and where do you think he got that name from?"
Yep.
You know, so I'm like, that's really interesting. But yeah, speaking of my cameos, Manny's unfavorite cameo was Method Man.
Yeah, I did not dig that. I was like, okay, Method Man's in this. All right, that's fine. But it's Method Man playing Method Man. I'm like, oh, come on, man. And literally the people in it, like the robber that's robbing him is it, you know, like is drawing attention to it. Then Cage comes and is like, yeah, man, I love your shit. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. See, to me, I liked it because
number one, why would it? I'm gonna say this. My man is from Staten Island. What the fuck is he doing in Harlem?
What if he was recording the show with what's his face from MTV? Remember?
Sway.
He was in yeah. Remember? Yeah, Sway. Yeah, he was in Harlem to record with
and he
Sway,
had some stupid bodega on the corner. Come on, man.
He keeps it real, man.
He don't do that.
You know, but the thing is, you know, what I liked about the scene was because I was thinking about if I was in Luke Cage's position and I saw Method Man, I would do the same shit. Like,
you know,
dude, I used to love Wu-Tang when I was a kid.
You know what? I would have tossed fucking Rum DMC in there. Fuck, I mean, you know, as much as I like Wu-Tang Clan, fuck them. It's all about Run DMC. Put those guys in there.
Yeah,
but you know, the sad part of it all, though, is that, you know, these kids probably don't even know who the hell Run DMC is.
Yeah, they don't know, you know, so they got to throw Method Man. But I enjoyed it very much. I understand where you're coming from. Where it's like, okay, there's Method Man. Let's stop the whole show.
Yeah, it's like, let's stop the show and tell everybody that this is Method Man. Come on, man.
You know, but I still enjoyed it, even though I kind of agree with you. They probably should have picked like a Harlem rapper that's famous. I don't know who fits that.
Run DMC is not even Harlem either. They're Queens.
You know, Hollis Queens.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. And then that rap he had was pretty cool. You know, I don't know if they're not marketing that song because it was pretty cool. But even though he says it, okay, this is the part I want to get to. I'm glad we came around this. He says it in the song. He goes, hero for hire. That was the one thing I was waiting for the entire season, and I never got it. I was like, okay, when is he going to become the hero for hire? When is he going to start charging people, you know? Because the whole time he's strapped for cash. I'm like, dude, you have a reason to ask people for money, but he never does it, you know?
Yeah, well, everybody keeps popping up with some money at the end.
Yeah.
Like, yo, Cage.
He's but like, people are offering it. He's like, no, I don't do. He's like, I'm not for hire. He keeps saying, I'm not for hire. I'm like, dude, you're Luke Cage hero for hire, man. Yes, you are for hire. You know, and I was expecting by the end of the season he would grow into that, but he got sent to jail. So, you know, what can you do? But yeah, that was the one thing. That's not a criticism. I was just like, man, I want that hero for hire shit, man. But that didn't come.
You know, man, one at a time. We got this. We just got a Luke Cage show.
No, man, give me the hero for hire, man. I want him to say at the end, I'm Luke Cage, hero for hire. Man, like, yes, man. We got the sweet Christmas. I wanted to go to the next level, but we'll get that next time, I guess. You know. Okay, so we're almost about to wrap this up. So let's see. The thing I want to say is like, what do you guys think of how this like further establishes the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Do you think it grows it in a different way, or do you think it didn't?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with it. It takes place in the cinematic universe, but
no, I'm talking about the Netflix universe. Let's stick with that. Like,
I'm gonna say,
what do you think this show does? Like, what do you think the show brings to the table that the others don't?
Well, it brings. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, it's definitely different from the other shows. I mean, we're talking, you know, Daredevil's more of like a vigilante show. Jessica Jones is kind of like crazy woman show. I don't know what she is. I don't know why I even want to listen to want to even see her further adventures, but whatever. I feel like that for Cage, it's kind of brought that superhero-ishness to that sort of stuff. It's gotten more fantastic. I feel like Jessica Jones felt less fantastical, even though she's literally super powered.
And she was fighting an actual supervillain.
She was fighting an actual supervillain. but I feel like this one felt a little bit more superhero-y. You know,
Yeah.
he literally has an actual origin of how he got his powers.
Yeah, the funny thing, and I'm glad you bring it up because I felt even though the show obviously was very adult and gritty, I still felt it was the least gritty of these shows. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was a
I
little, it
agree
was a
with
bit
that.
lighter. You
It was
know?
a little bit lighter, and it was definitely a it was definitely nice to have after like a you know something like Jessica Jones where everything was horrible and bleak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Luke Cage, he inspired that hope. He was a good character. So Rich, what do you think this show brought to the table?
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, I do agree. It's definitely a lot less gritty than the other ones. I don't have a problem with the grittiness of Daredevil or Jessica Jones, but yeah, they had to show another perspective, another character, and of course, I do think it's important because this is one of the characters that's going to be in the Defenders show.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys caught the very end, but they did tease Iron Fist when Claire was walking down the street and then she was looking at this kung fu flyer.
Yeah, that's right.
So I feel, yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna be looking at all the Easter eggs. So I think it did its job as far as establishing the character, and I'm anxious to see how all of these other characters are going to coexist because I know Defenders is the main goal they're trying to get to with the Netflix shows.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think what it brings to the table is like it brings even a more realistic kind of superhero in a way. Like again, because he felt like a man of the streets. People knew him and stuff. It was like an approachable hero. Like with Jessica Jones and Daredevil, like I don't think they like themselves. Like I think they borderline hate themselves. Like Daredevil's always punishing himself because he's Catholic. Jessica Jones is always fucking doing drugs and shit. Luke Cage, like he isn't like a cheery guy because he feel that he's done some fucked up shit, but at the same time he also has that hope that the other two don't have. You know what I mean? And he also feels an obligation, like with Matt Murdock, he does what he does. I still feel out of a sense of guilt, right? Luke Cage is more like, okay, I really should do this because it's the right thing to do. He's very noble in that sense. Even before he got the powers, he was like that. So it's kind of cool to see that. Hey, now that he has these powers, so his innate like character can be brought to the table like further. So I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, I guess let's wrap it up with what do we expect from these Netflix shows coming forward, because I think Iron Fist is next, right? And then Defenders, so should be pretty interesting. Like, how do we think Iron Fist is going to fit into all of this?
I don't know. I know he's definitely going to bring a lot of the kind of, fantastical, like, the stuff that comes with like something like Doctor Strange. And
yeah, because he has magic powers, so that's really going to be out there. It's not based in science at all. It's all mystics and all that other shit. So that'll be the toughest one to really meld with the world.
I think that although the way they're doing mystic stuff in this Marvel universe, it's not really actually magic. It's really cosmic energy or something like that they're tapping into. I don't
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see it once Doctor Strange comes out, because that's what they did with Thor. It's like, oh yeah, they're just aliens. They're not really gods, They just use crazy technology. I think this one they're going to go, fuck it, it's magic. So that'll be interesting. I think
they're going to stay away from magic. I don't think it's going to be called magic. I think it's just going to be something else that it's some sort of science, semi-science that we're working with.
They're but they are calling it magic. Marvel's executives have been calling it magic. Like, okay, they said we're finally introducing magic to the cinematic universe. That's exactly what they're saying. So it'll be interesting. By the way, here's my little theory on Luke Cage, because he's in jail right now. Right, this is going to happen. They're going to get Iron Fist to bail him out because he has money, and Matt Murdock is going to be his lawyer. That's how you get those three guys. Oh man, but yeah, Rich, what are you looking forward to next with the Netflix Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Iron Fist because I do want to see how they handle that. Also, I do believe that the Punisher show was greenlit, so
yes,
I want to see what happens with that because I know he was also referenced in this show also.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm confident that Defenders could be interesting whenever it does come out. Obviously, you know, like I said, they have to. It'll be very interesting to see how they have all these characters interact with each other, because we already know that Jessica Jones will get along with Luke Cage. Obviously, you know, the whole love triangle thing. I don't know if they're going to address that, because
yeah, that's right.
That's a whole nother issue, but probably not.
Claire would be like, "You fucked that white bitch."
You know, one thing about Claire though, I'm glad that they showed her mom.
Yeah.
You know, man, because that's one thing I've always said about, you know, Hispanic. You know, it's very difficult to kind of collate a Hispanic person because, you know, there are black Hispanics, there are white Hispanic, there's even others that look kind of Asian, and it was nice that she literally had a whole white mom. You know, but she still, you know, it still fit. A lot of times they wouldn't do that. They'd probably just give her normal circumstances. They give her a black mom. You know, just because she looks black.
Yeah, and I think they said she's Cuban, right?
Yes. Though her name is still wacky.
Yeah.
What's with that name? That ain't no Hispanic name.
What's her name again? Claire what?
It was like it's not a Spanish name. She's got like a name.
Probably her father or something. He may not be Hispanic, you know. But you know, you're right about that, because you know, Manny and I talked about this before, how like it seems like most people, white people, don't understand that Hispanics come in all shades. You know, like every time they make a character like Miles Morales, it's always like, oh, he's half Hispanic. You know, he could be full Hispanic and still look exactly like that, right?
Exactly.
you know, they don't understand that.
Me and Tony have cousins and, you know, family that look black.
Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't matter. You won't say he's half black, half Hispanic. You know?
They're not half nothing. They're full on. Yeah. That's a whole other conversation. But I did, you know, going back to Claire and her mom, right? That's kind of the reverse of me and my mom, right? Because I'm light skinned and my mom's dark skinned, you know? So with Claire, she's dark skinned, but her mom's light skinned, you know? So I'm glad they, you know, at least showed that. It's like, no, we come in different colors, you know? But yeah, you know, I'm pretty much looking forward to everything. I'm thinking about like the villains, because I'm guessing it's gonna be villains of Defenders. I'm pretty sure, you know, Wilson Fisk is gonna be one. Maybe Diamondback will be back. That'll be interesting. Getting those two in a room together, you know, that'll be interesting.
I'd like to see some Bullseye action, man. Where's my Bullseye?
Bring him, you know. Maybe the console woman will be doing shit behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. And nothing with Purple Man. He's dead.
Purple Man.
I'm the Purple Man, Jessica.
I'm the Purple Man. I'm so expensive you had to kill me.
They didn't reference her. It's like, oh yeah, like that crazy woman that snapped that guy's neck.
She said he was controlling her mind.
Yeah. Pretty cool. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for this. So yeah, Luke Cage, I give it the big thumbs up. I'm going to watch it again. It's a good show. You should watch it too. You obviously have watched it, but otherwise you wouldn't be watching a spoiler alert.
Yeah, you better not be watching this and you didn't see the show.
Oh, man, I'm gonna watch your spoiler alert and then I'm gonna watch that show. Isn't that the equivalent of like watching a Let's Play?
Yeah.
You know, you watch our show before you watch the actual show, or you don't bother watching the show.
Some people actually watch the spoiler things to kind of get a good sense of as to what the show is a little bit about.
Yeah, even though it's a full-on spoiler. Yeah.
Weird.
That is crazy. All right, so that pretty much does it for me. I don't have my show notes, so I'm just going to wrap it up fast. So, we have all the links and shit down there. So, once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco from The Coalition, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
And Richard Bailey Jr.
Sweet Christmas.
Yes. All right, people. Peace.